So welcome to the 2048-49 European review for this Let's Play Build a Nation series. But let me tell you, in today's video, we are going to be looking at one of the best intakes I think I've had in this whole journey, and the potential that a lot of these could make me want to stick around at this club for a long time. It's fantastic to look at. It really, really is. Absolutely beautiful. So stay tuned for that. But let's first head over to the European fixtures before Christmas, recap that, then get into the intake, transfers, etc. and the rest of our European run. So our European campaign started with a 4-1 defeat to Nice. And let me tell you, I think I've used this joke before, let me tell you, it was not very nice. That was followed up with a 2-1 defeat at home to PSV. At this point, you do start to panic just a little bit that your European campaign in the Champions League might be a group stage exit. Now, we did do something I probably can't explain correctly without getting demonetized, but we did batter some young boys, and we got a 4-0 victory with Yanti, Maui, Grunland, and Borg on the score sheet. Grunland and Borg, not even first choice players. 4-0. Demolition. That was then followed up as we came up against West Ham and got a 1-0 victory with Zadro on the score sheet. 2 wins out of 4. It's starting to look a little bit better. We only probably need, 4 points again and we probably guaranteed qualification? Well, we came up against Northman, and as Guttlesrud got on the score sheet, we are closing in. With 9 points now out of 5 games, we're looking decent in the Champions League. I mean, I don't want to brag, but that's 12 points before Christmas. We didn't do that many times with Egersons. Yanti, Zadro and Maui on the score sheet. The first time we used this formation, I did mention in the last video, we were trying a new formation and we'd used it in the European game. This was it. With the wing backs, we looked good. So that took us into the transfer window, and let's have a look see exactly what we did. So nobody went out after the last episode, but we did bring in some ins then. So first off is Sauer, who we did mention was going to come in. He has now joined us. He hasn't hit the ground running, but I just have faith he can be a good striker for us. And also William Ahmed comes in from Swedish side Mjällby, picked up for 700k. I think he will be a solid player for the squad. And then, as you can see, I did bring in quite a few players. Now, a lot of these are to come in and play for our B team. So just a heads up, and at the end of the season, we will be doing a full B team and youth team review. I'm going to do actually a separate video, I think, on it. If we're still at the club, you never know what's going to happen. But I signed a couple of players at depth, so I will mention which ones are them. So first off, Richard Amadou joins us. After being at Egerson since 2034, we picked him up for £70,000, age 34. Second nationality of Norwegian, so I am happy with that. He's a very solid central defender, and he comes in as a squad player. I'm really pleased with that, and it just adds that experience. And also the former Egerson all-time top goal scorer in Mohamedou Soumaré, which a lot of you guys were disappointed we sold, has come in as a backup for the season, costing us only £20,000. Impact sub, delighted. The next player coming in is Raw Storeberg. Came through the Egerson Academy. We ended up selling him for 1.7 to Napoli, I think it was. It was 1.3 to Napoli. He comes in as a B team player. He comes in to add depth to our B team. Norwegian international, capped once when he was at Napoli. Really pleased with that. The next one is Musserstad, who again comes in as a B team player. 1.4 million. Very good defender, does have potential long-term being our first team, but for now he is in on the B team. The next one is Robert Asmunderson, again comes in as a B team player, again does have potential, comes in on a free transfer, 19 years old, Icelandic. I'm interested how he is going to develop. Daniel Gomez comes in, 19-year-old Brazilian, to play for our B team. I don't think, due to his dribbling, etc., he's not going to get in the first team, but I do think he'll be a solid B team player at that level. Along with Paulo comes in as well, comes in play for our B team, central defender, again just adds a bit of depth to our B team. The next player coming in is Jesus Rodriguez, and I'm going to shock you guys right now. This guy comes in to play for our B team. Lacks a few things personality, etc. wise. I didn't see that when I signed him. I could only see half his attributes, couldn't see his personality, couldn't see his pros and cons. But a few big clubs were interested in him, so we did take a punt. It hasn't paid off, but he's only on £450 a week. Talking about low wages, Amadou, by the way, is on £450 a week. Another reason why I decided that might be one of the greatest pickups ever. If he now can learn some staff attributes, he could be a player who was with us for over 10 years at Egerton and then ends up being with us on the journey now again. And the final signing comes in, and let me double this one up. First off, before you guys say another B team player, yes, he is a player who's coming for our B team for this season. Next season, look at his attributes. This guy will be in our first team squad next year. We are tutoring him, which I hope will get the fickle personality away. Then after that, everything else should be top notch for him. He looks a really good defender. 2.3 million. He's going to play for our B team this year, and then we'll see about moving up to the first team. We added a lot of depth to our B team, and the reason behind that was we were very short of players. We couldn't put out an 11. So now we've got a very good squad with a lot of depth. You can see when you look at our B team now, we've got a squad. And then when a couple of youngsters come in and play the odd games as well, we've got a decent B team squad. The next bit to look at is our youth intake before we continue our European journey. And look at it. Now, by the way, the Nugent face manager is not working, so I've not been able to fix the faces. Very annoying. I've tried uninstalling it and reinstalling it. Not going well at the minute. So first off, Johannes Sørum comes in. He is a goalkeeper who has a lot of potential. 6'1" already. I really like this kid. I think he could develop into a very good keeper. Kjetil Einarsson comes in as a central midfielder who can play central defence. 5'11", so I think I'd probably rather have him centre mid. But again, I think he could be a very good player. He's already played for our B team as well this season. Next one is a centre midfielder who I think is just quality. Already played for our B team as well. I like him. 16 years old. All of these players have been signed on full-time contracts just because clubs around Europe can steal your players for free if you don't secure them. But I really like him. I think he's a top player. Kjetil Karlstad comes in. Another player I think has a lot of potential. Next one is Tvete. Anders Ruud Tvete, I think looks really, really good. Can play both fullback positions. Dribbling's a bit weak, but I do think they'll easily improve up to 7 or 8. A left back here who isn't a world beater but does have a bit of potential. And then you've got a central defender here who, again, isn't a world beater but does have a bit of potential. Then a couple others who have been brought in. How this guy's rating is below the ones we just looked at. We try and get the ambitious bit out. But as a central midfielder, I think he has a lot of potential. Then also Rune Harland Nielsen, who is a striker who, again, I think has a lot of potential. When you have good coaching staff, which we do at the youth level now, when you have good coaching staff, some of these players will develop into very, very good players. And sometimes I think when you look at them, you think, okay, he looks quite decent. Trust me, this guy will develop immensely over the next couple of years with the coaching staff we've got in the squad now. 100%. And I just think this youth intake is one to dream about. You've got this guy, you've got the goalkeeper, you've got another centre mid down there who we're trying to get that unambitious personality off. We've got talent has come through. We have got some talent that has come through. And I do think it points towards last season us bringing in Lawson Tunnicliffe, who was our head of youth from 2034 at Egerton. He's came over and took over with me here at Lillestrøm, and I'm really pleased with him. I am really, really pleased. So continuing our European run, we went in after Christmas. We always struggle after Christmas. And we lost 3-0 to Porto and we looked bad. And that was then followed up with a 2-0 to RB Leipzig. So we did lose our last 2 games of the group stage. Now we did end up finishing in 19th though, which did see us qualify for the knockout round. And in the knockout round, we would come up against Benfica, and we really did look solid. A 1-0 victory at home saw us take something to the Stadium of Light in Benfica and actually have a battle to play for. Now, I took a risk because we were missing our striker. I took a risk of playing the 4-3-3, completely changing the formation, and it got us a 2-2 draw. And I think their tactic setup was to play against our wing-backs with the wide men, and this tactic just meant we dominated the middle of the park. Now, in our possession, that doesn't look like it, but we really did. We were winning balls, we were winning duels. They passed around in defence, but when they went into midfield, we had that ball. Now, unfortunately, in the round of 16, we came up against Arsenal, and I have to say we are not at that level yet. A 2-0 victory for them, 2-0 defeat for us at home, was followed up with a 5-2 hammering away from home, and yeah, our tactics not right, our team is not right at the minute. Whilst I've built a team of players from Egerton and stuff who I thought could come with us on the journey, we've not had the greatest start to this season. So as well as going out in the Champions League round of 16, currently we are sitting in 4th place in the league, winning 6, drawing 3, losing 2. We're only 2 points off second, but we don't look good in games. We really don't, and I think the team needs an overhaul. These are the times where I'd probably say to myself, okay, as we're looking to build the nation, maybe we move on to a different club, and because I don't think I've made some right calls here at the minute. Tactically, we look good. I really do think we look good, but we're just messing up in situations where we shouldn't be. And you then start questioning, am I the right man for this? Am I doing the right job? Yeah, I'm just unsure at the minute in terms of the tactical setup we've got going on if the players I've got are good enough to take us to that next step. And to be honest, I like to be honest with you and say that's where I'm at the minute. So I wouldn't be shocked if in the next video we've actually lost our job. At the minute, Club Vision, we're at a B-. They are still very disappointed. That was actually a C- only a couple of weeks ago. Supporter-wise, we're at a C. So even though we really doing well as a manager, sometimes the board just don't agree with what we're doing. They're very disappointed with our development of youth players. We've brought through a few youth players, and this intake means we're probably going to bring through another 3 or 4. But they just at no points happy with what I'm doing. And it is very annoying when I feel like I've took this club from battling relegation to we've won a league title and we're in the Champions League, and they are criticising me. To that point, I always think, balls to then, I'll go elsewhere. We'll continue the journey elsewhere if you're going to give me this kind of attitude. Okay, so we are going to start by looking at all the other teams in Europe, how they have done, then we'll check out the rankings, etc. So, starting off with Egerton, because they were the lowest qualified team. They entered the Conference League. And you can see they've done well, beating Istanbul 3-0 and 4-1. Then Vardar Skopje 2-2 and then 2-1 victory at home. Knocking out Zelina 2-2 and then 3-1. And then in the group stage, a 1-1 draw against Mostar, then beating Dnipro 2-1, a 1-1 away to Ajax, a 1-1 away to Vitória of Portugal, beaten Rapid Wien 2-0, and then a draw against Maccabi Haifa. Then in the playoff round, they knocked out Lokomotiv from Croatia, 0-0 away, then a 3-2 at home. But they end up going out to Olympiacos, 2-2 at home, losing 2-0 away. Around a 16 though is not bad for Egerton. So next side to look at is Werder Glimt. Now they came up against Braga in Europa League qualifying, a very tough side. 2-2 draw at home before 1-0 defeat away. They then got drawn in the Conference League group stages. They came up against Calgary first, losing 2-0. Dynamo Batumi, 4-1 away from home. A 2-0 defeat in Sweden at Halmstads before beating Rapid Wien 2-0. A victory 3-2 over Basel is a big victory, and Lokomotiv 1-1. That took them into the knockout rounds. They beat Maribor 2-0 and 3-0 before coming up against Strada, a 2-0 at home and a 1-0 away, before losing in the quarter-finals to Manchester City. A 1-1 draw at home before losing 3-0 away. Manchester City, it's not the worst they could have done. So next up is Viking Stavanger. They came up against Vitesse of the Netherlands in qualifying, and unfortunately they were too good. A 1-0 defeat at home before 2-2 in the Netherlands. That caught them up against Maccabi Tel Aviv in the Conference League qualifying, and a 3-0 victory and a 4-1 victory saw them go through and come up against Midtjylland of Denmark. Now this was big because Denmark are just behind us in in the points, and they beat them 3-1 and 1-1, so they didn't even get into the group stage, which is huge for us in terms of points. In the group stage, they looked really good. Håkan of Sweden, they beat 3-2. They beat Maribor 2-1. A draw against Domzale and Man City away. Beaten Puskas at home, and Sianen they drew. In the round of 16s, they went through in the top 8. They beat Håkan 2-1 and then a 1-1 draw, before going out to the only team who beat them in the group stage, Calgary, in the quarter-finals. So next up is Molde, who entered Champions League qualifying, and they didn't have a good time. It 1-1 at home before losing 2-1 away, saw them drop into the Europa League. There's some green here though. Heerenveen a draw before beating Ludogorets, losing to Frankfurt before beating Apoel, Mallorca and PAOK. And that saw them, with 2 games left, getting a defeat to Sporting and beating Malmo. Unfortunately, I think they should have won this. Coming up against Tel Aviv in the knockout round, they lost 2-0 away and drew 1-1 at home. And that saw them go out in the playoff round. Now, they're actually top of the group league this year. They should have gone further than that. So how did that affect us? Well, first off, the league remains in 8th. We have risen 1 place to 44th in the European rankings. And in terms of the coefficient, we have dropped below Portugal, but I kind of expect that because we were losing a 20-point season. But we are starting this season 1 point ahead of them, 1.4 points ahead of them. And we are quite a few points ahead of Denmark, and the fact that they had such a bad year with Midtjylland not even getting to the groups was huge in terms of being beneficial of helping us. So I do think it was a fairly successful year for the nation. Now we are going to be entering in qualifying for the Champions League, which it's a bit of a concern, but at the same time I think this Lillestrøm team could do really well in the Europa League. So if we did go out, points wise I don't think would be the end of the world, because I do think we could almost knock on the door of winning the Europa League this time. So we in a decent position. I need to get this working better. I need to get the team, the squad, the players on board and working better. But we've started fairly successfully, and our B team is doing really well, and that means we're developing players. If our B team is successful, then we are developing players ready to move up to the first team, and that is something I've got to be happy with. So I'll continue pushing on, I'll continue developing, and hopefully we can have a successful season in the end. Like I say, sitting in 4th place isn't the best. I would like us to be almost pushing for our 2nd title in 3 years this year, but so far we're not looking good enough for that in matches. But thank you for watching. Thank you for continuing to support this Builder Nation. I honestly think we'll start to pull clear of Portugal over the next couple of years, and then we're chasing down Netherlands. So we are getting somewhere. It is a long journey, but we are making strides. I will see you next time.